I'm enjoying a nice bowl of minestrone soup. Describe what's in my minestrone soup.
Tomato.
Tomato. Vegetables. If I've got the vegetables on a spoon when I eat it, do I see the vegetables in the minestrone soup?
Yes.
I do. That's called a broth. Okay, because it's got the vegetables in it. If I have a mushroom soup that's been made with a roux, okay, and chopped up mushrooms, and then blended and finished with cream, what sort of soup do you think that might be?
Mushroom. Puree.
Mushroom, but we call it cream of mushroom because it's finished with cream. If I didn't put any cream in it, we're going to make a pumpkin soup today, which is going to be vegetables, and it's going to be pumpkin, and we're going to blitz it, and we're going to call that soup what?
Puree.
Puree. It's a puree vegetable. One of my favourite soups is something that's crystal clear, and it's almost like drinking a hot cup of stock. But the quality point of this particular soup is that there must be no grease on it. So all those little tricks I've shown you about skimming and taking the grease off, you must do that with this soup. And that's called a consomme. And that's classified as what sort of soup?
Clear.
Clear soup. There are other soups as well, okay, that you'll learn about. You'll be learning about that in theory, okay? But what we're going to do, I'm going to show you about this consomme. And we're going to do a trick. This is an important one that I want you to watch. Because the secret of this soup is... Jim, can you pass me the red... The secret of this soup, and the secret of most soups, lies right here. Why? What message am I getting across to you here?
Temperature control.
Temperature control. And I've seen a lot of bad temperature control. That does not, it's not an on and off, okay? You control it. Yes, you turn down. You'll bring your soup to the boil, and then you'll turn down to its lowest point. Now, I've turned that all the way across, but that's not its lowest point. If you turn it back the other way, so you're going to turn it off, you can actually get it still lower. So that's a good low temperature. Okay? So that's even lower than turning it all the way across. I want you to use that for this soup. Can you just move onto it? Okay, what are my key vegetables for my consomme? I think there's carrot in there. Carrot. It's not got carrot in this one.
Celery leek.
Celery leek and onion. So
All white.
let's keep it a white vegetable, you know? I'm just quickly going to do this. Okay. It's really important that your stock is cold. Very, very important that your stock is cold. This is one of the, oh thank you chef, this is one of the few soups where you start with cold stock. And I'll show you the secret why with the consomme soup. It's really cool. Okay, just very quickly. I'm making this in a minute. This is a meal in a minute with John. Alright, so I'm going to be as quick as I can. I've got a rubbish bin down there, guys. Okay. I haven't got my crap bowl with me, have I? Okay. Right, for this one, you need to actually chop your vegetables quite fine. And how many chopped onions go into this one? What's the quantity? Has anybody got a recipe there? For the consomme? 30 grams of onions, that's 30 grams of onions. Scale it, I'm not going to. Okay. Are you watching how I'm cutting my leek? Nishan, can you see from there? Okay, every little cut I'm doing, I'm only cutting it once, I'm not going backwards and forwards. So watch my cutting technique, because that's part of the process. I was absolutely gobsmacked how if you needed 2 or 3 times to do that sauce today, you weren't watching that technique. You weren't watching it clearly. Were you, Panit?
Sorry.
He's right there, so you can learn and you listen. Thank you. Okay? That's awesome. Even in rough chops, a good practice for your knife skills, yeah? Okay, so you're going to hold a little bit of celery back, you're going to hold a little bit of leek back, because there's going to be your garnish. And I'm going to expect you to know how to do a julienne. Your leek is going to be the same length, okay, as your celery. How are you going to do it? You're going to cut it into julienne, okay? So to do it that way, you'll cross cut it. Sharp knife, watch your fingers. Whenever you're doing this sort of work, you're focusing, okay? You're focusing where your knife blade is and where your finger is. You keep your fingers in view at all times, okay? A nice julienne of celery, okay? This is probably a little bit on the thick side, but if I'm going to use it, I'm going to use it. Julienne's often much smaller in some restaurants. People like to see what they're eating, you know. So yes, I can show you a nice cut, but you know sometimes. And so follow the. Look at the angle of my knife. I'm going to cross the leek. Okay. There's my garnish. Put your garnish aside. It should all look the same. There's 2 portions of garnish, and that's fine. Okay. So my offcuts, I might as well bang onto my soup, so I'm not wasting any. Agreed? Can somebody please read me the quantity of ingredients that goes into this? Just read it out to the class. Tajinder, you can do it. Yeah, you're right, me.
Butter, butter 50 gram, and the white stock 1.5 liter, and the tomato puree 1 teaspoon, and the ukogani 1, and the salt and pepper.
Nice.
Butter also. Okay. You don't put any butter in this one. There's no butter in the consomme. You don't want greasy. Why would you not put any? As soon as you said butter, I knew you were reading the wrong thing. Why? Well, where will that butter end up? On top. It'll be making a greasy soup. But you knew that. You were just demonstrating to us, weren't you? Tajinder. You demonstrated really well. That's cool. Okay, so we've got all the ingredients. Okay, so we've got that. All we're going to do with this, it says salt and pepper and egg whites. I don't want any salt in this. What happens to salt when you reduce it down? It concentrates. Oh, hang on, sorry. I nearly got that one wrong. We're just about to read its sequence. Okay, yep. Egg white. Portion about equivalent to 3 egg whites in there. Okay. Darren, get me a spoon, please. I was going to stick my hands in, but it's not particularly good. And that's a good point. There's flu virus going around. The only way you can eliminate virus from getting into food, okay, is thorough hand washing and full personal hygiene. Yeah. If you're sick, let me know, okay? Go to the nurse. Get a nurse clearance before you come to the kitchen, okay? Come on, Darian! Flipping heck, that's been taught to cat all day. She'll get you into trouble. Okay, so I've got my egg white in there, giving this a mix. Some places will put carrot in, but this recipe is technically saying no carrot because it doesn't want to colour it, okay? So you'll bring that all together. I don't mind if you do 1 consomme per table, okay? You do it. Oh, you got it in pairs, haven't you? Yeah, 1 consomme per table, that's fine. Okay, so you'll mix this, then your cold stock. Can you see why it's got to be cold? Oh, that stock is brilliant! Who made that stock? You guys did it, that's awesome. Honestly, I'd walk over cut glass to work in a restaurant that produce food like that. I really would. Now, you've got all these beautiful quality items. You don't want to blow it by getting this wrong, okay? I'll show you what's going to happen here. What temperature is all this? Hot or cold? It's all cold. Now,
John, did you want to keep that Bernays warm throughout the entire time?
yeah, I think somebody might be able to use it. Oh, have you got it nice and warm, have
Keep
you?
it warm. Hazel.
Hazel, keep it warm. Okay, that's great. No, keep it warm. I'll sort it out. Hazel, maybe somebody can use it. Okay. Right. Now, first of all, not too intense. I'll show you what's happening here. See our pan? All those ingredients are at the bottom. We've got our stock, okay, in the pan, and all our ingredients and our meat is going to start from there. Because it's cold, we've got our egg white in there as well. Now what's going to happen, as that heats up, the consomme, we're going to make what's called a raft. So the protein in the egg white will solidify, so you've almost like got a disc at the bottom of the pan. And as that heats up, because we know there's a process called convection, where the water will slowly, the heat will come to the surface. Okay, so it'll push the heat will push the liquid, the hot liquid to the top, and as that comes up, so there's this. And this is a really cool scientific principle. This is where chefs are scientists as well. Okay? So you have got to monitor that heat. You don't want it to go crazy. And you want this raft to gradually move up through the liquid and come to the top. And when it comes to the top, if that starts boiling, what happens when water boils, it starts at the bottom, right? It starts at the bottom, and it circulates. It goes to the top, and you know when the boiling water bubbles on the top? Well, basically it's the heat exploding, okay, and then it starts going back down again. It cools and goes back down. So you've got this sort of cycle, okay? It's going on in your pot. So if you boil this consomme, what's going to happen to that raft that you've sorted out? It's going to explode and break up and go everywhere. So you have got to gradually bring it to the surface and then turn it down and just let it tick over. You want it sitting at about 95 degrees. What temperature is boiling temperature? 100. You want it just under that, all the way through. See if you can do that. Get that on board. Get all the dishes done. Have it just simmering. Call me over. You got it right. You can have a break.